In this video, we're going to talk about statistical significance and what that means for an experiment. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does this have to do with Jim Carrey and the movie Liar Liar? And we'll get to that in a minute, but let's first break down the definition of statistical significance. And we look at this term statistical significance to explain an observed effect of a size that would rarely occur by chance. All right. And if you're like me, right off the bat, that definition doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. All right. So again, enter scene Jim Carrey here in one of my favorite movies, Liar Liar. And I always think of statistical significance as a way to kind of call out a liar. Right. Or to detect when people aren't really telling the truth. Okay, so I'll tell you a quick story. Another way to kind of put this into context, um, and everybody can relate to this. Okay, and I'm going to put down the letters right here, MOB, because I think everybody, if you think long and hard, can think of an MOB in your life, and you're probably thinking, well, what is an MOB? What does that mean? And again, how does this all relate to statistical significance? Well, I used to play summer baseball, and there's a kid on my team who was not from the area. And in our downtime, we'd always be telling stories about things that we did at college. And he always kind of like, we would say that he one upped us. Like, he would always have a way to say, like, well, I did this or I did this better. And he would start off almost every story with my one buddy. MOB. And we started calling him MOB by the end of the season because we started to realize that every time he said my one buddy, it wasn't anybody. He was just making it up. He was a fibber, right? So we would be sitting around talking about saying, yeah, we scored 1,000 points in high school. Yeah, well, my one buddy scored 1,500 points. You know, I was in the gym the other day. I benched 305. Yeah, well, my one buddy can bench 425. He would always one up us, and we came to realize like the guy wasn't really telling the truth, so we called him MOB. Again, why does this have anything to do with statistical significance? Well, I want you to think about somebody, could be a friend, could be an acquaintance, could be a classmate, that you know that has this tendency to fib a little bit or over exaggerate, right? And that's your MIB. So my one buddy, I'm just going to put this little acronym here. Okay, so let's say whoever that MOB is in your life, right? Your my one buddy comes up to you one day and says, "Hey, Mark, I can shoot 95% from the free throw line. Okay, I'm 95% sure that if I were to take 100 shots, I'd make 95 out of 100 of them." Okay, so he's going to say his free throw percentage. We're just going to put free throw percentage over here. Is 95%. Okay, this is his claim. Right, I'm going to put quotes around that and point an arrow to MOB. MOB, free throw percentage, 95%. Okay. I want to do an experiment to see if this is true. Right. So I say, okay, well, I want you to show me that you can shoot 95%. We go out to the basketball court, give him a basketball, and we'll say we give him 10 shots. So our sample size, we give him 10 shots. And out of 10 shots, we'll say MOB makes 3. All right. So that would put his experimental probability or the outcome of this experiment, he made 30% of his shots. Okay. So again, now what does this mean? How does this relate to statistical significance? I'm going to highlight this 35 or 95%. I'm going to highlight this 30%. And the question I have to ask myself is that difference between those two results. Okay, the difference between him saying he shoots 95% and what actually happened is a difference of 65%. That's a huge difference. But the question I have to ask myself is that difference so rare that it cannot be explained by chance. In other words, could a 95% free throw shooter shoot 3 out of 10? Okay, and I think the answer would be yes. It could happen. It's not likely, but in any 10 shots, a person who says they shoot 95% only makes 3 out of 10. It could happen. So maybe this result isn't statistically significant just yet, but let's change it up a little bit. Let's say out of 100 shots, he makes, and we'll give him a little bit more here. Let's say he makes 32. So now all of a sudden, I'm changing my percentage from 30 to 32%. All right. But I'm also increasing my sample size from 10 all the way up to 100. Right. So I'm getting much more consistent, reliable results. Out of 100, he should be a little bit closer to 95. Right. It takes that chance out of the equation. Right. So, in this case, I would say that yes, these results are statistically significant. It's an observed effect. It's a difference that would rarely occur by chance. Okay, and if my answer yes to this question, if I say that something is statistically significant, it makes me say, okay, this MOB in this case, he's a liar. He's not telling the truth. He's a fibber. And we'll get into more of this when we talk about significance testing later in the course.